over. To our next wonderful presenter, I want you to give it up. Really, really great for this guy, Richard McCann. Thank you.
Yeah. I didn't want to wake up, but my sister Sonia was shaking me urgently. It was 5:30 in the morning. She says, "Richard, wake up, Mum's not come home, let's go look for her." The pair of us left the house at 5:30, wandering the streets looking for my mum. We were living on the Scott Hall Council Estate in Leeds. We've been living there for 5 years on the at-risk register. We had 126 visits by the social workers by the time I was 5. I've got the file at home. Mum and Dad weren't doing a very good job of bringing us up. We eventually arrived at the bus stop, and after an hour we gave up. There's no sign of my mum. So I went home, and the police arrived at the house. They took us to the local children's home in Beckett's Park Children's Home, where you could tell the staff were expecting us. They were fussing over us, giving us cups of cocoa. I was loving this attention. And so this police officer said, "I've got something to tell you." He said, "Your mum's been taken to heaven. You're not going to see her again." I was devastated. I didn't understand. We later discovered Mum was murdered by a serial killer called Peter Sutcliffe, the Yorkshire Ripper. I never thought I'd ever bounce back from that, but I did. We set up home. That's a photograph, by the way, that was taken. It appeared in the national newspapers, and that picture appearing in the papers was how some of Mum's family discovered what happened. I don't think they would get away with that nowadays. We set up home with my dad, my estranged father, with his new girlfriend, and I thought a new chapter of my life has begun. But you know what? It didn't turn out to be the chapter I was hoping for, because my dad was a very violent person. He drowned the dog in the bath. He used to beat us with sticks, black and blue. He put my stepmom in hospital after a particular vicious beating. And that's what I looked like as a young child. As you can imagine, I didn't feel quite as good as everybody else. I had no confidence, no self-esteem. I was going nowhere. But something happened at the age of 13. I entered the school public speaking competition. And I got on stage, unlike everybody else. I stood there with no notes, and I spoke about pigeons, because my dad kept pigeons. I won the competition. It was a turning point for me. I became more confident. Next 2.5 years at school were great, but I left school with no qualifications, a couple of dead-end jobs, and then I decided to join the army. A new start, a new chapter in my life. No one knew about my past. I told them my mum died in a car accident. But a few months after I finished my basic training, I was posted out to Germany, and this magazine by Marshall Cavendish was published. This magazine, the Murder Case book series, everybody was talking about it. My past caught up with me. And I felt like I did as a teenager again, not as good as everybody else. I had a breakdown. And I finally got kicked out of the army. They said I had a personality disorder. And I came back to Leeds, where I'm from, and I started my life again. A new chapter of my life began. And after I had some success, I got promoted in my job, and I eventually bought my own house. That was 1994, and it wasn't much, but it was a turning point for me. And unfortunately, I started mixing with the wrong crowd, like I did as a teenager. I started taking drugs. 2 of my friends died. I started dealing drugs, and I got sent to the same place that Peter Sutcliffe was sent when he was first arrested, Army prison. And I was determined never to put myself at risk of returning to a place like that. And I came out of there determined to find a life for myself, and I got myself a job. I saved my house from being repossessed at the last minute and got promoted in that job, won an award at the Yorkshire Post, and my life was coming together. And in 2004, my sister Sonia stabbed her boyfriend, so I decided to write a book about my journey. One of the most terrifying things I've ever done. It was quite successful. It's around the world, but the most successful thing that happened was in that year I met Helen, my wife, who's here with me tonight. We got married on the 1st of July, Mum's birthday, on the doorstep of the house that she lived in on the Isle of Skye in 2006. And you might see she's got a bit of a bump on her belly there. 5 weeks after that photograph was taken, my first child was born, but went on to have 3 wonderful and ginger children. And after my book was a success, I got asked to speak about my experiences. This is my 1,161st presentation in the last 5 years. One of the organisations that I speak for is the Forgiveness Project. I go into prisons sometimes and I share my story, not because I've forgiven, because I've got an opinion on it. And last year they invited me to a conference where I was a delegate, and speaking was Archbishop Desmond Tutu. He was giving this presentation about the atrocities that took place in South Africa. It was describing, this was where we were last year in London, it was describing the Truth and Reconciliation hearings where these military men were brought into a hall just like this. All the families of the loved ones that had died and those that had lost limbs were in the audience. And this military man turned to the audience and said, "Yes, it was me, I gave the orders." The atmosphere was right. You could cut it with a knife. Then he turned around and said, "Please forgive me." And this crowd started clapping slowly. And then they burst into this massive round of applause. And Desmond Tutu said, "Stop, stop. Take off your shoes. This is a holy moment." And then he went on to say, "You can never force a person to forgive another, but when it occurs, it has the capacity to change a situation." And at that moment, I forgave the person that killed my mum. And after the presentation, I rushed outside and I caught him 3 steps down outside this place, and I stopped and said, "I've just got to tell you, you helped me forgive the man that murdered my mum." He threw his arms around me and gave me this almighty hug. BettaKultcha. Never underestimate the power of the spoken word. I'm Richard McCann. Thank you very much.
Go, Richard. Go. We have a little presentation for you. Now, normally, we sell these for £10, but as it's Christmas, we're going to give it to you, Richard, for £20. Only kidding.